For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on your favorite podcast app. I appreciate your time. We've got a whole bunch of new listeners that I've been hearing from, so I appreciate you subscribing and giving your feedback. You can always chime into anything that I ramble on about and email me live@jbonair.com. Coming up on the show today, Howard Bellamy from the legendary group The Bellamy Brothers will be joining us to talk about how music can help us cope and get through things, right? We can all relate to music in some way or another. Whether there's a song that lifts our spirits or a song that reminds us of something, tragic in our lives and makes us cry, music affects all of us. And so I want to talk to Howard about how he gets through tough times, right? Is there maybe one song that can instantly change his mood? And also just the power of music. The group has been together, it's a family, so they've been together a while. But, they've been in the music business since the late 60s, early 70s. And that's 1960s and 1970s for our younger listeners who don't believe that was actually a time. But so it's going to be interesting. I always love talking with the legendary artists who have a storied past to talk about. So Howard is coming up a little bit later in the show. And it's Mother's Day weekend. What a great time, thanks to Corona, to not see your mom. Hey, isn't that a good thing? Sometimes, depending on your family situation. Hey, if I don't have to see my mom for Mother's Day, I am okay with that. No, I'm joking. In our family, we actually all live very close by each other. When I walk my dogs, when I'm in Winnipeg, we actually walk past two of my brother's houses, and then the furthest one is my parents'. So on the way there, we go to my parents' house all the way, right? That's the furthest destination. And on the way back, we can actually stop at my brother's houses and, crap on their grass or whatever it is. So my family is obnoxiously close, and yeah, so I don't have that excuse. But we actually end up having a good time. See, what's fun in our family is there's competition between my parents when we play Nintendo Wii bowling. Do you remember this from back in the day? Again, our younger listeners have no idea what I'm talking about, but you have that controller that you wrap around your wrist and then you try not to hurl it at the TV. Remember people were breaking their TVs back in the day? Somebody find me the year on that. Nintendo Wii. Anyway, so we have been doing these Nintendo bowling tournaments for I don't even know how long. Quite honestly, it started on Christmas Eve many years ago, and now it just continues on. So whether it's Mother's Day, my parents' anniversary, whatever it is, like if the group of us is there, somehow I can say with 85% certainty, depending on the situation, a bowling tournament will break out towards the end of the night. And this is when... See, it's always fun because you have mom razzing dad and they get really competitive and we're just like, oh my God. It gets even more fun, dare I use the word funner, it gets even more fun when the alcohol is involved. And so on Christmas Eve, my mom always makes this vodka slush kind of a thing. It's very, very strong, but it's good. And maybe it's just because you're in that Christmas spirit, right? But I'm guessing that for Mother's Day, I honestly don't really know if we're all getting together. We have had, maybe I shouldn't be saying this because we'll get in trouble, we'll get arrested. We have had family gatherings, and we had my sister-in-law's birthday in my brother's backyard a couple of weeks ago. So, it's not like I haven't seen my family or been with my family. I guess the rules are under 10 people or whatever. It depends on the day, right? The rules are changing all the time. I don't even know. But so I'm looking forward to see if we do have a wild and raucous Nintendo bowling tournament again. So Mother's Day for us, we end up just getting goofy and silly. Not really a problem for me. So anyway, happy Mother's Day. Maybe this is my way of even getting out of that. I'll just say happy Mother's Day on a broadcast and I'm in the clear. See, you can't say that I forgot Mother's Day because it's a couple of days before the actual non-holiday holiday and I'm remembering. I'm talking about it. So If I do forget to call my mom, we'll just play her this clip. I'm a good kid. I really am. All right, we're going to take a break. Howard Bellamy from the Bellamy Brothers is up next right here on the Scribble.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
With everybody together getting through a global health crisis, there's something we can all relate to, and that's music. We know that music can get people through almost anything. So to get a real expert in the music business, a real legend, I thought we'd talk with Howard Bellamy from the Bellamy Brothers. Hi, Howard.
How are you doing, Jeremy?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I won't say great, but it's just pretty doggone good, really, because I'm getting rest these days.
Well, that's exactly it, right? The sleep patterns, the schedules have all changed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you guys were in the middle of a tour, if I'm not mistaken, when this whole coronavirus thing started.
We've been on a tour for the past 40 years.
That's true.
We hardly, even, when we're touring, we're on the big tour for 20 shows, but prior to that and after that, we're booked. We usually play 140 shows a year before this.
Wow. Yeah.
And that all of that was on that's an average, and that was all booked. And on the Blake Shelton tour, we were in Omaha, I believe it was. Waiting to do a show, going down to get the hall to get ready and everything, and they got a call at the hotel and just said the mayor canceled the show.
Oh, jeez.
I guess he was right to do that. Just nuts ever since.
Yeah, and actually, coincidentally, we talk about touring. I know that you've got a date scheduled on May 9th in Canada, Thompson, Manitoba. I was born in Winnipeg, a few hours away. So how's that for a coincidence, too?
Oh wow, yeah. Our guitar player of about 25 years is from Winnipeg.
Okay, and you guys were in the city about a year ago, I think.
Yes, we were. We were. He usually lived here on the ranch with us, and he got separated. He went up to see his grandson because we didn't use our band on the Blake Shelton tour, so it's the first time he could have some time off. And we used Blake's band, so our band was just they've been goofing off for weeks now. But anyway, went up there and it hasn't been able to get back now to Florida. So he's stuck back up in Winnipeg, and hopefully we'll see each other again.
Well, you'd almost think that in a time like this, we hear about essential services. I say music is essential. He should be allowed to travel.
Well, don't you think? It's an essential for me. I know that, and I know, it's a known fact. The greats, Beethoven and all the great creators of early music, they knew they're gifted, born just like you take the weirdos these days, but they're special people.
Right.
And they figured out years ago that everything rides a wave. We all do, and music just gives you a nice ride on that wave.
So tell me then about how you get through a tough time. Let's say you've had a bad day, or you just got some bad news, or you're stressed out. What's your go-to kind of music? Is there a genre? Do you have maybe a song that lifts your spirits?
Well, and I love so many different kinds of music.
Mm-hmm.
But I look for something. I love melodic stuff, because I think it makes you ride that wave a little. There's more ups and downs in that wave, and you can really go for a ride, melody.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I think the ingredient of groove, melody, and lyric, you can't go wrong with a song. But then, there's songs that lay just heavy to groove, not great dialogue. So that kind of music, I miss something. But, I got drifted off in your question there. But, melodic music's really what takes me for a ride. And reggae. I love reggae music because it's got that light, beautiful melodies. And it reverts back. I think those melodies in reggae go back to the old island music. I've heard it in the South Pacific. I've heard it around the world in the island. And it goes back to a gospel, really. So, it's been lifting people up for years and years. And different kinds of music for different kinds of people.
Let's talk about how you're filling your time, because if you've got so many tour dates, you guys are constantly working, that's got to be like a 180-degree turn now, because, you're home, right? You're isolating. Well, tell me, what are you doing every day to pass the time?
Well, I'm in better shape. I almost feel guilty to admit this, but I'm in better shape than I've been in years, because I've been working every day on the ranch. We've had gorgeous weather in Florida, and so been confined to the ranch pretty much, and getting people who are less likely at a younger age do all the going out for us. So hanging pretty close, but been outside just working with the cattle on the ranch, fixing things that need mending. It's like we were brought up, and I was starting to recall all the things I had forgotten that I knew, if that makes sense. And a lot of flashing back, in the early days of my life, because we were raised on this ranch. And so a lot of flashbacking. But surviving it quite well. I hope to God, they come up with something with very low side effects that we can, get past this. And but I'm just I'm having a good time. Just praying that it gets better.
Oh, absolutely, and it is a good time to, as you say before, catch up on some rest, and also just reconnect with, your roots, or even people from the past. I think this is good. Social media is the term that, people use, but people have become so less social, and now picking up the phone and having a conversation, or even a video chat with somebody you haven't spoken to in a while. So, yes, this is a global tragedy, but, there's some good coming out of it as well.
Absolutely, and I've really begun to see the good. As long as there is a light at the end of the tunnel, I'll think it was a wonderful experience. If it was not a light at the end of the tunnel, well, it doesn't make any difference anyway, does it?
So
you enjoyed yourself on the way out. I mean, you can get stressed, and you do. You'll minus start taking off with you in different directions and about weird things, and then you have to wipe it out. Say, just get busy doing something, and you want, if you're driving a nail or something, you can't think about the bad stuff because you may hit your finger. Something you have to, zone in on other than the bad part of the thing. We've been, on the road for 45 years, and played 72 countries around the world. And I had forgotten what your circadian clock, I had forgotten how important that was to getting your rest. Because, we were changing time zones so much for all those years. And this is the longest I've been in one time zone in so long. I mean, since I was a kid almost. God, boy. What a great thing, just going to bed with the chickens and getting up with the cows.
It's going to be hard to shake it and get back into your regular groove then, no?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be worth a damn for anything after this. Of course, at my age, they always say, don't retire, you'll die shortly after or whatever.
Well,
But, it's just a matter of staying busy. It's not you never retire.
right.
But
Right. Yeah, and if your true passion is you're doing what you love, so it's why would you want to retire, right? If you're still having a good time.
exactly, and I'll tell you what you do miss. You miss you miss your fans. You get addicted to that live show thing. And mind you, we could play a few less dates and probably live a little longer. We just tried to see the entire world and come close. We've seen half of it anyway, and I can't sit here and complain about how bad things are. I mean, on my swing and on the front porch, it's about 78 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, and I'm just living day by day, moment by moment.
What is it? I mean, you've touched on a couple of things, the energy from the fans and just the love of the music, but what is it that keeps you touring and doing? You guys are still, putting out new music. What is it that keeps you going after all these decades?
We were going so hard and fast. I think it just becomes addictive, and you get in that grind. That's just all you know. I mean, it's hard to explain, and that's the mode you're in. I mean, when you're on tour and the live show day, we've always been. I've personally been very disciplined on that day. I won't. It's all about the show and the experience you have with people, and that's why you're there. And you do everything you can to make it a great event for everybody. And I miss that part. I miss it a lot. I would maybe like to see us do maybe not 140, but maybe even 80 or 100 dates would be plenty coming up.
Mm-hmm. If you could.
I concern myself with, the big crowd thing, and it being, where the problem is these days on catching this virus, where all the contagion is in large crowds with sports, music, and so the big social gatherings. And I'm wondering when people are going to be, unafraid to come back to that. I mean, we all miss it, but, I'm just curious to see how that's all going to shake out.
Yeah, and I guess it also depends on who you ask and what day you ask them, too, it seems like.
Doesn't it? I mean, I'm so damn confused. I have opinions, and I realize half the time I'm wrong. So, that's because nobody else knows anything to tell me that's right,
Yeah.
You have to kind of figure it all out for yourself, it seems like, because, I see so much contradiction within an hour on news,
Mm-hmm.
You just say, what in the hell is going on?
Yeah. Well, and the overall consensus, here's the thing, Howard, I'll give you the one piece of advice. Stay home. There you go. That seems to be the advice, right?
Hey, I think I'm going to take it, Jerry. Yeah, I'm about as home as you can get right now, barefooted, and just, it's a wonderful life, and let's hope this thing, we get by it, and it'll be, this generation, we can say if we get through this, we can say that we experienced something equivalent to the Great Depression. It is a war of a kind because it's not physical, but it's certainly a mental trip. And so hopefully we'll all get through it, and we can look back and tell these stories for days to come.
And that's the thing, right? It's not like it's just one place being ravaged by tragedy. I mean, it is the entire world. And as cliche as the saying is, we're all in this together. We are, right? We can all relate. We're all locked up at home. It's not like I don't feel bad for you because I'm doing the same thing, Howard, right? We're all in it. We're all experiencing it together.
Well, good. That makes me feel so not so guilty then. Because honestly, what can I do? You do feel helpless, You feel helpless to a point, and then you say, well, I should know better. If there's nothing I can do about it, just do nothing. I mean, that's all. all you can do, because you can't trust half you're told, and it's like one of the old lines in Blazing Saddles. That's one of my favorite that's one of the funniest Mel Brooks movies.
Yeah.
But it's always back. There's a line when he gets to the point where he said, "You're on your own."
And
how I get.
Well, and I have to walk back what I just said. I don't have a sprawling estate in Florida, so maybe I definitely wouldn't feel bad for you. Okay, Howard?
Well, I don't like pity at all. So.
But the thing is that when we're surrounded by the ones that we love and that love us, that's really at the end of the day what matters, isn't it?
Well, it really is. It's so back to the basics that we've all known and treasured for years, and there has been a period, kind of a recent period, where the country seems like it was changing anyway. Well, it was. And the politics is so thick that nobody can work together on anything anymore. So, it's had my concern for quite a while. And for this to come on, when all of that's already there, all the unstableness around, am I painting too negative a picture here?
No.
But, it's still in all of that. You have to keep some ray of hope. Without it, what's the use? So just dig down. And music. We're back to music. Let's talk about it. And I think that especially uplifting music, positive stuff, can really help you get through that.
Absolutely, and I think that's why especially music fans are just waiting to get back to seeing, the summer festivals and the concerts in the big arenas. And until then, I guess the good thing about the internet is that we've got YouTube, right? Or we can watch videos or DVDs of the concerts.
Yeah, it's kind of like having phone sex. It really is. Right?
Well, I'm going to use the word uplifting on that one, but
nothing like the real thing. Not that I've done that. I don't know why that popped in my weird mind.
Gee, wow.
But the real thing, you do miss the real thing, though.
Right. I would take that into 3 or 4 other questions, but we're out of time, Howard. You're saved by the bell, I think, on this one.
Whoa, boy! You probably edit that out, or whatever you want to do.
Here's the thing. Like we said, we need to keep things upbeat and have a laugh. So I think that
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
We didn't talk about sense of humor. If you don't keep that, well, you're in trouble at any time in this life.
I think this is giving us pause.
You can't laugh at yourself, and every day.
Right. We can't take ourselves too seriously. If we do, that's when we're in trouble.
We all are, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So you guys have all your tour dates, but of course we know that that's on hold until who knows when. But where can people stay in touch? Your website, social media?
Yeah. No, we're all out there where people do those things, and we're going to try to start. We have a little TV show that we filmed here at the ranch, so we're going to try to crank that back up fairly soon. If people can start to travel a little bit. So, there ought to be some interesting episodes come out of that. Shame we haven't had a camera running but there's so many weird things that have happened on this time. I've pulled baby calves. About 5 of them I had to deliver, and it was back to the old days, And I was trying to remember all this, and I'm kind of proud I did a pretty damn good job, after not having done it all these years. So I tend to ramble, Jeremy. So if I can ramble too far, just reel me back in.
No, I'd love to hear. I've never spent that much time on a ranch, but go on. What else are you experiencing day to day?
Oh well, a lot of that. We have, of course, a lot of animals around, and so they're just always doing something to keep you occupied. With cattle, we have horses, and we have fish ponds with fish. Go to feed them every day, and just a wonderful part of life. A lot of nature here, and that nature always brings me back around. I think if they can let people out still and go walking at their safe distance in parks, and I think it helps so much their mental status, and of course listen to music while you're doing it. But it's all a part of healing, and nature usually has the answer.
And yeah, that's exactly it, right? So you just have a bit of music playing in the background out in nature. I mean, what else could you ask for?
That's about as good as it gets at any time in life.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to be checking out your social media, your website to, keep up to date as to dates and everything like that. And well, thank you so much for spending your quarantine time with me, Howard. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. It was a pleasure talking to you.
All right. The legendary Bellamy Brothers will be watching for your tour. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. We've got about 3 minutes remaining, but I've got to tell you this story. We're taping our radio shows and podcasts, sometimes in the studio and sometimes I'm at home. And again, you'll probably never know which is which. But the other day, I had an interview scheduled with a celebrity at a certain time. They were running late. I got an email. Okay, so we postpone. And I thought that it's just not going to happen because I didn't hear from the celebrity. So what I did was I had just gone online. This is where the laziness in me comes in. I decided to order food. Well, not even, I'm not kidding you, not even a minute after ordering, all of a sudden the phone rings and it's the celebrity. I'm not going to name names, but it's the celebrity on the phone. And I'm sitting here going, okay, crap, here's the deal. This is somebody who I've talked with many times before. I don't want to say friendship, but I know them. And what my point is that there's a likelihood that we will actually sit and chat for a while. But and maybe I could get away with it because I know the person, but how unprofessional is that going to be when I'm sitting here doing this interview and all of a sudden you hear ding dong and my dogs go crazy because the food has arrived? Still very unprofessional, right? I still have I try to keep a little bit of a level of professionalism going, even if I am at home wearing a bathrobe. But you don't want your guests to know that. That's always the secret, right? You never know if the person you're listening to on the radio is wearing pants or not. You just don't. And so we just start doing this interview, right? I'm working the board and the microphone and all this other stuff, and then I get a notification on my phone that says your food is on the way. This is literally not even like 5 minutes after the order was placed. So I start to freak out going, oh my God, I've got to make this interview as quick as possible. As we're doing the interview, and I'm actually sort of tuning out from what the person is saying, I start to internalize it and think, wait a second, I ordered pizza. So presuming that they're making it exactly, this isn't going to be something that was sitting around and they can just throw it in a box and give it to me. This is something they need to make for me custom because I'm particular with my toppings, my ingredients. So the reality is there's no way that it's going to already be on the way here 2 minutes after I ordered it, right? But again, there's still that fear. Like, my heart is racing, and I almost want to interrupt and say, hey, by the way, I actually just ordered food. But this person was also late calling me as well, too, right? Nevertheless, thankfully, it was just like a glitch in the app. The food was not on the way in that moment. And I was like, but have you ever had that where you're sitting and it says maybe the food is like 15 minutes away, and then suddenly it's like, prepare, the person's almost there, and you're like, I'm in the middle of going to the bathroom, or I'm, doing something inappropriate. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. My thanks to Howard Bellamy. I'll talk to you next time, everybody. Happy Mother's Day. Goodbye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat